Wow, he looks like a deer in the headlights. This is Steven Anderson. He is a right-wing extremist. He's got, there's so much drama to talk about with him. We'll get there. For the moment, let's just say he got into a scandal recently where it was revealed that he hit his kids and his wife, and he called it, quote unquote, spousal discipline.
Oh my God, I heard about that.
And it almost ended his career, according to him, that his kids all came out and said all of this. Well, let's listen to Steven Anderson talk about Pastor Jimenez on the left here, who was NIFB. He was part of Steven Anderson's denomination and left it because Steven Anderson beat his wife and his kids. He is about to talk so much smack. Let's listen.
I'm just going to... Hey everybody, Pastor Steven Anderson here from Faithful Word Baptist Church in Phoenix, Arizona. This is a response to Pastor Jimenez's video, Why I Don't Stand with Pastor Anderson. I'm just going to play the entire video and respond to it line by line. So let's jump in.
We can do that.
Hi, this is Pastor Roger Jimenez from Verity Baptist Church in Sacramento, California. I'm making a video today to explain why I no longer stand with Pastor Anderson. And I want to begin by saying that I honestly didn't want to make a video like this. When I left the new IFB, my thought was to just leave quietly and to not have any problems with any of the pastors in the new IFB.
I just want to make it clear that this guy on the left is a piece of trash as well. He talks about, he calls people the F slur all the time, talks about gay people destroying society and all of it. All the same stuff Steven Anderson does. By the way, I have covered all of the children's videos that they did outing Steven Anderson. I've covered all of them if you want to see them. It's pretty interesting. Miriam was one of them. Who were some of the other? Josiah, maybe? I don't remember the names of the kids now, but the point is that they all came out against him and revealed that he was using extension cords on them, and that the mom, Steven Anderson's wife, was abusing them as well, but was also being abused by Steven Anderson directly. So it was all pretty ugly.
One of the things that in the past always bothered me about when some of these pastors would leave the movement is that it seemed like they would always leave criticizing us or attacking us. And I always had this mentality that if I left the new IFB, that I would leave quietly. I even said that in sermons in the past. And so that was my plan. My plan was to just leave and to not have any problems and just move on with my life. But the problem is that Pastor Anderson is just not going to let me do that. He's just continuously, relentlessly, viciously attacking me and accusing me of things. So I just think I'm to the point where I have to make a video and explain what happened.
Okay.
So the thing with leaving something quietly, that's great. That doesn't, there's no drama. You don't perpetuate anything. You shouldn't leave an organization quietly if the reason you're leaving is because of abuse or some other harm. So if you find out information about a person that is terrible, like they like children or they're abusing people or whatever, you shouldn't be leaving quietly. That's just my opinion.
Right. You should be a little bit more open about it. You should be loud.
You should help people.
And Steven Anderson, as you'll come to find, kind of is upset that people criticized him in the first place and says, I came out the other side and you didn't stick by me. Well, I mean, they didn't stick by you because you hit your children and your wife. You abused them terribly. There's no excuse for this. None.
Right.
Okay, so back when this happened, when he broke his word to me and ended our friendship, threw me under the bus.
Because you hit your kids. Really? Are you still in the dark about this?
What about the fact that for the next 6 to 9 months, I was super gracious with him. Everything I said about him was positive. Go back and listen to every sermon and podcast. Anytime I brought up Pastor Jimenez's name, latter half of 2024, early 2025, I was always positive about him. I was never criticizing him or saying anything.
I don't think he's understanding the point. That's abuse. The point is that's abuse, and the reason he left is because you're abusing people.
Right.
Stop abusing people. He'll stop criticizing you. Like, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Negative. I was nothing but nice to him. I was super gracious, even though I was very hurt that he had thrown me under the bus and that he was such a lousy friend that didn't stand with me when I needed him.
Brother, don't abuse your family.
You know what? I still extended him a lot of courtesy, a lot of grace, and was nothing but positive toward him that whole time. During that same time, his church members were viciously and relentlessly attacking me online and in person. Visitors who showed up to Verity would be taken aside and given the talk and told how bad Pastor Anderson is.
Okay, I don't believe this. I heard this the other day too. I believe what probably happened is there was massive drama. And if this guy knows how to do anything, it is turn people against somebody, stochastic terrorism style. And Steven Anderson absolutely sent people to his church to harass him, make his life miserable in all kinds of different ways. And I don't blame them at all for being cautious about who they allow in the church for that period of time while the drama is at its height. But Steven Anderson was upset that he was sending trolls into this church and they were, being turned away because they are trolls. I'm sorry, like your strategy didn't work. That's just what it is.
We don't like Pastor Anderson around here and all this stuff. Okay, his church members are on Facebook. Adam Gessler, Kimmy Gessler. Saying
this is him like doing stochastic terrorism again with his little nutcases.
F Steven Anderson, and Steven Anderson's a fat and a bitch and all these different.
He does that. Sorry, I have to demonetize the video now.
I don't really care, but I just wasn't
expecting.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, so.
Yeah. Well, that's Steven Anderson. That's what he's famous for.
Sorry, chat.
They're just.
Somebody once told me, never apologize for a wrong that somebody else committed. And I thought that was interesting.
I'm going to go grab Monster. I'll be right back.
All right.
Obviously, attacks coming from his church members, just slandering me, calling me a wife beater.
If the shoe fits.
Coming up to my dad and saying things like that, saying it on Facebook, saying it to visitors. So his church members.
He didn't even apologize for it, by the way. He said, if my wife and I choose to engage in spousal discipline, then that's none of your business. That's what he said. Really.
Are doing his dirty work for him. And I reached out to him multiple times during that period. And I said, look, your church members are out of control. Yes. This is railing. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 5 that you are supposed to be church disciplining railers. You can't just let these people do this.
What does it say about wife beaters?
I said, the church is not one person. The Verity Baptist Church is not Pastor Jimenez. Verity Baptist Church is the people. And I said, this is what your church is like. You're the leader. You're responsible. You need to rein this in. He said that he was going to rein it in and then never did anything about it. Never church disciplined these people. And of course, they're just emboldened to just keep doing it more and more. I got to shut the door.
It's not Jimenez and his church that's the problem here. It's Steven Anderson's church.
Sorry, someone said it's interesting what words he considers slurs. He didn't say the B word, but he could say the F slur.
Yeah.
That one's fine.
I think that biatch is the word that he was called. Have you not heard it?
That's so stupid.
It's a 2000s
I've heard it.
To 2010s.
Yeah, they say it in a lot of songs and in movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I grew up in that time. I grew up in the 2010s.
Yeah, but it was popular when I was in high school, and I wasn't sure if you were like around
conscious
culture that, yeah.
Some landscaping going on. All right, sorry about that. Just a little bit of noise out there. So, I warned him and I told him, I said, look, you have to get these people under control. And so for him to just act like, oh, I just tried to leave quietly and I wasn't going to say anything. And then poor little me, Pastor Anderson just viciously attacked me.
I mean, he described it in a previous episode that I covered. He basically said that he called the guy and he said, are you going to back me up? I need you to back me up. Do a video about how I'm innocent here. Do a video on how I'm innocent. And the guy said, all right, I'll do it on Saturday. And then Saturday rolls around and nothing happened. And Steven Anderson calls him and he says, well, what happened? You didn't release it. And he said, oh, yeah, I'll get around to it. And finally it got to the point where he had to just tell him, look, I don't support you in this. You beat your wife and your children. What do you want from me? And Steven Anderson, I'm describing what we already watched, the previous episode. Steven Anderson said, that's when I, quote unquote, used some colorful language and said, our friendship will never be the same. To me, that means I don't want to know you anymore. And F you and F this and so on and so forth, right? That's Steven Anderson ending the relationship by his own description. And now Anderson is saying he ended the relationship because some heat was, put on him. No, the relationship ended because you beat your family and because you insisted that this guy defend your action of beating your family. Again, Steven Anderson didn't even apologize for hitting his family like their entire lives. He didn't even apologize for it because he's not sorry about it. He's happy he did it. He thinks it was the right thing. He calls it spousal discipline. It doesn't get more vile than that.
And they both consent to spousal discipline, but I bet he'd be very angry if she even touched him once.
Yeah.
No, I was super kind and super patient. And I warned him. I said, look, my patience is running out. I said, I've been very gracious, but your church members are on here. They're slandering me. They're attacking me. They're railing on me. They're attacking, and you're not doing anything to stop it. Then you're part of the problem. You're allowing this to go on. Look, if somebody in my church is a drunkard or a fornicator or a railer, they get church disciplined. That's what 1 Corinthians 5 calls for. So it's very disingenuous for him to act like, I was just trying to just leave quietly and just be a gentleman. Yeah, while you have your attack dogs online doing your dirty work for you. You got Luke Vincent and Kimmy Gessler and Adam Gessler spreading all this crap online and plenty of other people in person taking people aside, talking crap. And
I'm assuming those people he listed are people who are popular in the community.
I think they're just church members. I think that they were just members of what's his name's church, Jimenez's church.
So he's actually genuinely just calling people out and listing them
Personally.
because
Yes. That's stochastic terror.
Yeah, I was trying to believe that wasn't what he was doing because I just find that concept so crazy. But
yeah,
right.
It's vile, right? It would be like saying Mr. Wheeler, blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing,
Yeah, or his children. Anyways.
Disgusting, dude.
So that's disingenuous. But anyway, let's get back to the video.
And why it is that I'm leaving. And I do want to just address that. I think it's funny, recently they had this conference in Texas and they had a podcast, and in the podcast they're criticizing all the pastors that left, Pastor Berzins, Pastor Robinson, Pastor Bazarski, and they're criticizing them for all the things they said. But then in the same podcast they bring me up and then they're criticizing me for not saying anything. And when it comes to these people, it just seems like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
No, you're not damned if you do and damned if you don't. It's real simple.
You mean hecked, sir? You are a pastor.
How dare you swear?
You do what you say you were going to do. If you tell your best friend of 23 years, fight this battle, I will defend you, I will go to bat for you, I will publicly defend you, then you do what you said you were going to do. Okay? You don't be like all of these ex-NIFB losers who basically just want to use us for their own gain.
You could just not beat your wife or your children.
I know. That's what I keep saying. Like, you didn't have to beat your wife and child.
I'm pretty sure your friend of 23 years probably would have defended you if you didn't abuse people.
Yeah.
It's really a simple concept, and no one seems to understand it.
Certainly not him, yeah.
And then discard us when they're done with us. Okay. So it's not that you can't win, it's that you can never win when you're doing wrong. When you're preaching feminist garbage, when you're betraying.
He's preaching feminist garbage.
Not abusing your wife is feminist garbage.
Yes, seriously, I think that's what he's saying.
That is what he just said, yes.
Are you kidding me right now? What?
Your friend, yeah, you can't win with these. Yeah, of course you can't win because you're doing wrong. There's no right way to do wrong.
If you leave and explain why you're leaving and why you don't stand with them, then you're a bad person. And if you leave and don't say anything, then you must be hiding something and you're a bad person. And I think the problem is that when you leave, they're going to try to destroy you. They're going to try to make you the villain and make you the bad guy.
Yeah, that's absolute baloney. Because
you say as you're actively doing that.
Right.
You're literally sitting here saying he's the villain. You just told me that he is doing wrong and that he's the bad guy.
Also, it can't be crazy baloney because crazy baloney exists. It's called pepperoni.
Oh, that's a good point.
A whole bunch of pastors that we've associated with have just kind of drifted off and not wanted to work with us anymore, not done anything with us anymore. And they just left. And it's just like, okay, whatever, who cares? Okay. There's a difference between attacking us, slandering us, lying about us, or in Pastor Jimenez's case, having your church members attack us, lie about us, and slander us. And then you just go, oh, I can't control what goes on.
Like, if it's slander, then sue them. You know why he's not suing them? Because he's guilty of beating his wife and children. It's pretty straightforward.
Online. And then the other thing is that it's a little different when you promise that you're going to defend me publicly and then you don't. See, that's the problem. Okay. And yeah, I'm not going to rehash that, but anyway.
So I just want to take some time to explain what happened and why I'm no longer friends with Pastor Anderson, why I don't stand with Pastor Anderson. So, of course, this all started when Isaac, his son, made a video. I want to say it was in January of 2024.
Again, I covered that whole video. I watched all of it. I think it was with Dead Domain. It was really fascinating. Isaac, by the way, is a Nazi. Has Nazi tattoos. So
That's lovely.
yeah.
He came out with a video, and of course he was accusing his parents of abuse and things of that nature. And when that video first came out, my thought was, the Bible says, against an elder, receive not an accusation, but before 2 or 3 witnesses. So I just immediately...
The 2-witness rule. He just cited the 2-witness rule. Jehovah's Witnesses use the 2-witness rule to justify not turning in people who take advantage of children because there are never 2 witnesses to the event, obviously.
Wow.
thought this is one witness, this is one accusation that's being made. And, obviously I just thought maybe it's just a son that's rebelling against his parents. So I just dismissed it. I just thought this shouldn't even be received. And at the time I told Pastor Anderson,
Okay, if a kid is claiming abuse, you don't dismiss it. Even if you think they could be lying for one reason or another, when someone claims they're being abused, you pay attention.
Right, and so he's saying Isaac came out originally. Hold on.
Someone asked if you saw the subsequent ones with Miriam.
Yes, I watched it on my channel. And for some reason I don't have copies of these, but I know where to find them. So let me just grab them so I don't forget about them. Isaac Anderson.
Touching hot things. It's just you slap their hand. When obviously if your kid's a teenager, you can reason with them more, and rather than just do as I say or I'll beat you, then they're old enough to be reasoned with. When you have a small child, there is no reasoning with them. Have you? I don't know if you ever try to argue with a 4-year-old about something. It doesn't work.
There's no situation where child abuse can be used because when they're small, children don't understand the connection between I did something wrong, so now I'm getting hit. They understand real world connections. I ate a cookie before dinner when I wasn't supposed to. I don't get a cookie after dinner because I already had mine. Stuff like that. Hitting them doesn't connect in their brain as being something, like as being correlated. But and when they're older, they can make that connection biologically, or like cognitively. But when they're older, you could just explain it to them. Like, can't do this because blah, 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 blah. So there's no situation where physically harming anyone does anything. It doesn't change anything. And also, even when someone's a teenager and if they get physically harmed, they're more likely to rebel. They're just going to find sneakier ways to do it.
Right, definitely. It's a complicated path to walk because anything that you do risks backfiring. And Steven Anderson just hit his kids because he wanted to, honestly, and there's no excuse for that.
hey, just don't even acknowledge this, just weather the storm, it's no big deal, just move on, right? And I was trying to be a friend, of course, and encourage him. And later that year, in 2024, in April of that year, we had a youth conference. And when we had our youth conference, one of Pastor Anderson's sons, John Anderson, came to the conference. And while he was at that conference, he had a conversation with my wife and with another pastor's wife. So there was 2 people there that witnessed this. And he told my wife that Isaac was lying. That's what he told her. He told her Isaac's just rebelling against.
So Isaac speaks out first. John, the one with the colored hair that we saw a minute ago, comes there and tells Jimenez that Isaac was lying, okay? I mean, be suspicious of everything you hear from either of these people, but all right, that's the story so far.
His parents, and he's lying, and everything is in that video wasn't true. Which, when I heard that, when I was told that, I didn't do anything with that. I just kind of filed it away, but I thought to myself, like, okay, well, there you go. You got one son saying all these accusations, you have another son saying that he was lying. And of course, if you were to ask John today about that, I mean, I don't know, I haven't asked him, but I would imagine that he would say that he was lying to my wife back in April. But
I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Because either way, he's demonstrated to everyone and to Pastor Jimenez and Pastor Jimenez's wife and whoever else was there that he's a liar.
Okay, sure. So his account of what happened, of what it was like living with you, of describing the exact situations that were described by others, and verifying that he absolutely was there and absolutely did experience those things. Fine, throw it all out. Throw his testimony out completely. It's irrelevant because Miriam came out. That's witness number 2 that is trustworthy. So it's irrelevant whether John is trustworthy. We have established that this is a factual situation. Biblically, we've established it because we have 2 witnesses who are trustworthy.
Someone said John did try to cover for the parents. He admits he's ashamed he did it in the Dead Domain interview.
There you go.
And he's not a credible witness. And he impeached Isaac's testimony and said Isaac's lying.
Yeah, again, it doesn't matter.
So, it's
what I'm
clear.
explaining to you is that this is what I got from John, and John said that Isaac was lying. So then in September of 2024, John comes out with his video.
Like, is it really so surprising to think that Steven Anderson would hit his kids? Is that so surprising? My dad wasn't really a religious zealot, and the religion that he was a part of discourages physical abuse. But my dad was still physically abusive. So is it really that surprising that the leader of a denomination that believes that you need to physically abuse your children is physically abusing his children? Is that a surprise to anybody? Literally anybody? Like, why is this so hard to believe?
And he is giving all these accusations against his parents. And when he came out with that video, I was very shocked because in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, well, you said that Isaac was lying. So are you now the one that's lying too? Like, was he lying? Are you lying? So when John came out with his video, though he was a second witness, in my mind, he was not a credible witness.
Just a reminder, I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out my Patreon. If you're not going to donate, you don't have to, but follow me there at the very least. owenmorgan.com/Patreon. Just in case something happens with the government or whatever. It would be really good if you had some way to connect with me and my content. I'm really concerned about that. And maybe you should consider that for other creators too. Good. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. According to the Bible, not a credible witness yet.
Because he had told my wife that Isaac was lying. And to me, that just made it all seem like, who knows, who's lying or whatever. So at the time,
How is that not a who knows? How is that who knows who's lying? How about the kids are lying because you just said right there that his witness was for sure bogus?
That is not what he said. He said one of the 2 witnesses was not fully trustworthy, but the other was trustworthy. In the real world, basing criminal charges off of just what Isaac said would 100% fly and would be reasonable and should be done. But in Bible worlds, I guess that you should wait for another witness to come out.
Because he's either lying to your wife or he's lying now and he's shown himself to be not credible. So that's not a who knows. That's the, wow, these witnesses are full of crap.
But they're not. One witness at best was full of it. One witness was already fully credible. I just want to poke holes in this, make sure that he doesn't get away with smearing all of the witnesses against him. There are more than 2 or 3. We know for a fact that he is an abuser. And there are other children in his house too, by the way.
He does admit this, right? That he, maybe not his children, but he admits that he hits his wife.
He said, basically, whether I engage in spousal discipline with my wife is our business. That's what he said.
So he admitted that he hits his wife.
Kind of. He did it in a dodgy way that could have possible deniability. But yes, if you use the word spousal discipline unironically, then yes, you hit your wife.
And if you're telling me whether or not I abuse my wife is our business, you hit your wife.
Yes,
So
right?
if he's hitting his wife, why would we believe that he's not doing the same to his children? What is his argument here?
Not only is this established enough to go to court, but it's established enough biblically as well. Again, so like he has no defense here, none.
Even though there were 2 witnesses, I didn't feel like John was credible because of what he'd said to my wife. So
Totally fair.
I'm telling Pastor Anderson, I'm encouraging him, and I'm telling him, like, just weather the storm. And he asked me to defend him publicly, and I did. I brought it up in a sermon, and I preached against John or whatever. And after that, though, came out the 3rd video. I don't remember which one came out first. I think it was Miriam, who was 17 years old at the
Yes, Miriam.
time.
Well, I do remember it was the Miriam video, okay, because of the fact that Solomon's video didn't even accuse us of being abusive. He didn't even accuse us of doing any abuse.
Wait, did Solomon release a video? Hold on.
All right, hi everybody. Now I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you definitely know who my dad is,
Oh my God.
Steven Anderson,
I did not see this.
and most likely you've probably seen some of the videos that my siblings have been making. Now this video right here, I'm shooting it right now. I didn't want to have to weigh in on this situation whatsoever. I didn't want to like talk about it in any way. I didn't feel like any of this concerned me at this point in my life, but recently some things have happened and I feel like I need to sort of give my opinion and my perspective on this. And also people have just been asking me in my personal life and now even on my previously defunct YouTube channel to like, is what your siblings are saying true? Is it false? What do you think about this? So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going
to run this transcript through a system and see if I can just get some info on what he said generally. Yes, Solomon does affirm the claims of physical abuse made by his siblings in this video. He provides multiple specific examples and explicitly states that the stories are true. Here are the key points where he confirms abuse. Direct confirmation of specific incidents. Solomon confirms the electrical cable beatings, saying, yes, the electrical cable was used on kids. Yes, it hurt really bad, around 9 minutes and 50 seconds in the transcript.
really quickly, kind of a, I guess, speed round to give you background on the child rearing. Yes, the electrical cable was used on kids. Yes, it hurt really bad. And I don't want to see anybody in the comments talking about, oh, you got to toughen up, you got to be a man, you're being complaining about your parents' child rearing. I wasn't. I grew up in that household and I wasn't a and I did understand that people, you know, might do things wrong or fly off the handle. That's why I was on good terms with my parents and hung out with my dad and my mom for years afterwards. And you didn't see me on social media just the most.
Like, it's not a sign of weakness to reveal that this person is a scumbag and that he's doing something wrong. It is evil to hit your kids. That is evil with an extension cord.
It's not a sign of weakness to be in pain, especially not when you're being abused like this. And him telling people that he was abused is not him needing to toughen up or be a man.
And we've got Solomon shares his own experiences, including having all his possessions smashed in front of him as punishment when he was around 12 to 13, his father threatening to rip a lizard in half if he didn't clean a campsite fast enough, being beaten with an electrical cable for watching Ninjago.
Oh my God.
Folding laundry.
Lego Ninjago. It's a like Lego Ninja movie.
General validation. Around the 32-minute mark, Solomon states that while his siblings' videos focus on the bad parts, that stuff definitely happened, and it happened on a somewhat regular basis. He clarifies it wasn't constant, but confirms these incidents were real. The thing is, I experienced this as well myself, personally, and I can tell you that, like, it messes your head up to be in an environment where you're supposed to be safe as a child, and you never know when something is coming. You never know when fists are going to start flying, when you're going to be thrown across the room or something. You never know. Being in a constant state of fear, like, you start manifesting really unusual behaviors. Like, you start feeling constant anxiousness, like you can't calm down. You can't figure out what's wrong or how to deal with it or whatever. It's not healthy for you. It's not good. And it's evil. And that's why it's illegal, as it should be, to beat your children. And this isn't punishment. Okay. There is no good reason to physically hit your kids as punishment anyway. But this wasn't just spanking your children. This was abusing your children. There is a difference in most people's minds. In my mind, there is no difference, but whatever. All right, let's go back to Steven Anderson. We're probably going to go through Solomon's video eventually, but not today, unfortunately, because we won't have the time. But keep a lookout for it.
Miriam's totally absurd.
So let's step back a little, because he mentioned Solomon's video. I didn't even know Solomon did one.
I don't remember which one came out first. I think it was Miriam, who was 17 years old at the time.
Well, I do remember. It was the Miriam video, okay? Because of the fact that Solomon's video didn't even accuse us of being abusive.
Yes, it did. We literally just listened to him say that.
He didn't even accuse us of doing any abuse.
Yes, he did. This is just a flat-out lie. Now you are an untrustworthy narrator, Steven. Now you are the blatant liar. Now you should be distrusted, and we have 3 trustworthy witnesses, at least, not counting John, since he defended you at first. We have 3 trustworthy witnesses against 1 untrustworthy narrator.
Miriam's totally absurd, ridiculous, totally untethered in reality video came out, and that is when Pastor Jimenez turned on me. And here's the thing about Miriam is that, first of all, Miriam was literally in classes as a 16-year-old girl. She was literally...
Is he going to impugn her character by claiming that she was like sleeping with somebody or something? That's totally something that Steven Anderson would do. If he does that, I'm going to doubt him.
He said classes, so I was thinking maybe like an anger thing, and he's going to say that she was just angry and doesn't have any idea what she's talking about.
Well, let's find out.
Taking theater class. We had her in theater for years, but she was actually doing dual enrollment. I actually had her in dual enrollment so that when she graduated high school, she was not only going to have her diploma, but she was also going to have a 2-year degree from the community college in drama.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that they homeschooled all of their children, and that's why he's saying she was in classes, and that was unusual. Okay, so you're telling me that she's an actor? Well, all of this stuff lined up with what everyone else said and was verified as factual. So this is on the statement of 2 or 3 witnesses. I mean, this is biblical standard here, Steven.
I went to a performing arts middle school from 7th to 8th grade and a performing arts high school from 9th to 10th grade. And there has never been a time in which, and I was surrounded by theater people, and I was doing theater and I was doing tech. There's never been a time where I sat here and said someone's abusive because I was in theater. That just doesn't happen.
Right.
I don't sit there and pretend just cause.
It's nonsense. It's nonsense, and it's disgusting that he would impugn her motives like this. Like, what's wrong with you, Steven?
Someone said Solomon didn't call it abuse. He called it child rearing, which is what Steven Anderson's clinging on to.
Okay, well, he described what they did.
Which is child abuse.
It is child abuse, yes. You can call it whatever you want, but it was hitting them with an extension cord. That's abuse. It just is.
Okay. And we didn't just send her to the school or anything like that. I literally drove her down there and kept an eye on her and made sure that she was fine.
And made sure she wasn't dating somebody or hanging out with people she, quote unquote, shouldn't be hanging out with, you mean?
Drove her there, drove her home, was on campus the whole time she was on campus, And so she's a trained actress who's just saying anything to justify running away and, going and wanting to just live with Mr. Fun Uncle Clint.
No.
So,
Oh, yeah, she moved in with her uncle.
No one has to justify leaving their parents or running away or anything. She could have been 17 when she ran away. I'm not actually sure.
Saying you don't have to justify running away from me?
She could have been 17 when she ran away.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's no one's business why you leave.
I agree.
And
totally.
It could be just because you didn't want to live with your parents, whether or not they're terrible people or they're nice people and you just want to hang out with them or whatever. She didn't need to tell people why she left, and she told people because you're a dangerous person.
I agree. Yeah. And so he's trying to impugn their motives. I'm surprised he didn't go down the sexual route. I thought for sure he would. Or maybe not yet. Maybe it's to be seen. But he's impugning her motives. And I'm wondering what he's going to say about Isaac. I mean, it's pretty dead to rights with Isaac. I don't know how you could possibly. I mean, Isaac is like a Nazi, like an actual, real, literal Hitler-loving, Sieg-heiling Nazi. Like, what motivation would Isaac have? And besides that, Solomon verified that these things did happen. So right there, we have our two witnesses. Even if you completely impugn the motives of Miriam, it doesn't matter. We still have two witnesses.
Now he's trying to claim that, I guess, the Miriam video is what pushed him over the edge, which
because she's trustworthy.
The thing. Obviously, all of these videos contained exaggerations, outright lies,
No, I don't believe it. They all matched up with each other. They all told their story multiple times, and the story was consistent. It didn't change, and that's evidence that the story was real all along. There are some, for example, North Korean defectors whose story has changed over time. That's a sign that maybe there are some exaggerations and not being fully truthful, right? That's not the case with this.
Twisting of the truth, things taken out of context. The video that was by far the most untethered from reality was Miriam's video. I mean, at least in John and Isaac's videos, you could at least recognize the stories and be like, okay, yeah, I see what they're talking about there or what they're twisting. I mean, with Miriam's video, it's like, you're just like, where are these even coming from? It's just a total fiction. It's absurd.
Didn't they all say the exact same thing?
Yes, they did.
All of the videos said the same thing. So you can't say, oh, these two said blah, 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 and I can see what they're twisting, but hers is crazy. Oh, wow. If they literally said the exact same words.
He's trying to impugn the motives of each individual as he goes and narrow it down to only having one witness to invalidate
everyone else.
the claims. Yeah. So he may have decided to go with Isaac as his one trustworthy narrator because he couldn't poke as many holes in Isaac's. But if he can get it down to one, then it's fake in the mind of his churchgoers because there aren't multiple witnesses. This is a dirty, underhanded BS tactic. They were all trustworthy. I understand from a church perspective invalidating John's, but from a legal perspective, it was still completely valid. People recant all the time.
Okay. And, if you want to understand why the vast majority of the church members at Faithful Word stood with me and that the lion's share of
They didn't.
people all just rejected this stuff out of hand is because they actually knew us in real life. And they actually knew Miriam in real life. And they'd seen me interact with Miriam scores of times. And they knew that Miriam and I had a great relationship. We got along great.
Someone abusing their child doesn't abuse their child in front of other people usually.
Right. Yeah.
So, or any abuser isn't going to harm someone in front of others usually.
You're going to treat him super well. They're very, very charming usually. My dad treated me real well at the Kingdom Hall.
My ex we'd go out with friends and he'd buy me stuff and he'd be so sweet, and then the friends would leave and he'd yell at me for having him buy me stuff. So people think that everything is great and fine, and then in private you can be the worst person in the entire world. Others believing that you have a great relationship means absolutely nothing.
And also, oftentimes with abusers, with my dad particularly, he had great qualities. He was really a very nice person to me, oftentimes. It's just sometimes he'd fly off the handle and go completely nuts and get angry about something, some stupid thing. And, we'd end up in a physical fight. So I would venture to guess that it worked similarly with Steven Anderson, that he had an okay relationship with his kids for the most part, but then he was very violent and hateful to them on other occasions. And he was absolutely, for sure, this is totally undisputed, very, very, very restrictive.
Solomon said that they had a good relationship because he would go back afterwards and hang out.
Right.
So, yeah, I believe that he had, that he was good to them occasionally, but he was a generally terrible monster.
I miss my dad, actually. I do. I miss my dad.
Yeah.
It's a shame that he's gone. I wish that he, he was physically abusive and mentally abusive over anything else, but he did have his good qualities. Like, I remember laying there, like he was laying in the bed and I was sitting in his little wheelchair there. And I had one of those little sticky hands you throw at a wall, you know, and you pull it back, throw it at the wall, pull it back. And he and I would take turns throwing this sticky hand into the ceiling fan. And it would like get all wound up and it would fly off into the wall somewhere. And I would grab it and then we would trade off again.
Yeah.
Order pizza or something and just sit there and hang out. Like, there were good times. And I'm sure that Isaac and Miriam and everybody had good times with Steven Anderson because nobody is all bad. Nobody is black and white evil. Hitler was a really nice guy in person, actually. He was super, tell self-deprecating jokes and just super kind and funny. Nobody is black and white, good and evil. And I'm sure that Solomon is, I'm sure all of them are going to miss their dad when he dies. Steven Anderson, that is. But it does not excuse the bad behavior. It does not excuse the evil that he perpetrated on them.
And they knew that she had never said any of these things or claimed any of this weird stuff about abuse or anything. And then not only that, but she would cry on command and she would show them how, I can cry on command and.
I mean, that's a mark of an actor. Yeah, but I don't know that she even cried in the video. Like, why is that relevant at all? She was just describing calmly exactly what he did to them. And her story matched up precisely with the stories of the others.
She looks like a theater nerd. Sorry.
Say again?
She looks like a theater nerd. She looks like she does theater. Yeah. In a positive way.
What I want and whatever. So, for him to be supposedly convinced by the Miriam video is just, it's disgusting. I'm sorry.
That was a third witness.
I don't think that he's convinced by the Miriam video alone. I think he's convinced by the fact that they all three had the same story.
Yes.
And it didn't seem like any one of them was lying if they had the exact same retelling of events.
Right, exactly.
He's not going to be he follows the 2-witness rule, right?
Yes.
So he's not going to be convinced by one video alone. But the fact that there were 3 of them and the fact that there are more now prove that no matter what, she wasn't lying.
And he's trying to pick them all off one by one. He's trying to pick them off and make it seem like they're all uncredible.
Well, if this person was lying, then this person had to be lying. Therefore, no one was telling the truth.
Right.
Just is.
She runs away from home. She comes out with a video. And then, of course, Solomon comes out with this video.
And again, Solomon, in his video, did not accuse us of abuse. And in fact, in the comment,
I mean, he explained what they did, and it was abuse, hitting them with an electrical cord.
He didn't say the word abuse, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right, it was abuse. I'm sorry.
Section of his video, he said, hey, people can bring up whatever stories they want in the comment section, and I'll answer them. And people said, hey, is it true about the bar stools? He answers, nope, it isn't true.
I don't believe that.
Oh.
Do you know the bar stool story?
No, but people did say, hey, is it true about the electrical cords? And he said, yeah.
It's true, yep. Regarding the bar stool, he was describing, I believe Isaac described Steven Anderson coming in and grabbing a bar stool that they had just bought and literally breaking it over his back. He swung this bar stool at Isaac and broke it over his back. And they had just bought it, so they made Isaac glue it back together afterward, and they continued to use it.
I wonder if child abusers would end up killing their children if they'd feel bad about it, because a lot of them harm their children to the brink of death, but they don't actually end up dying.
I think they would generally, the personality type would likely lend itself to, they would probably feel bad that they were in trouble. Not that they had hurt their kid, but that they were in legal trouble for doing so.
Do you think your dad would have gone that far?
No, I don't think he would have gone that far, but I didn't know when I was little. I had no way of knowing if he would have gone that far to kill me.
Yeah, because the things you described, he's made it pretty close.
Yeah, when you're, he tended to choke you a lot. Like, he choked my mom. He'd throw her up against a wall and choke her until she passed out. And he choked me too. But by the time, I was a little bit older, I was like 14, and he was a little bit slower, and I could kind of handle myself a little bit and fight back eventually. So I don't think that he was capable of killing me because I was much faster than him.
Right.
And I don't think that he would have anyway, but narcissism, lends itself to thinking about you and your problems and your issues and how this affects you, not how it affects others. So if he had, he probably would have felt bad that he was in trouble. That's what I think.
Yeah, because choking, one wrong move, you hold it for just a little bit too long and the person's
kill it.
gone.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that.
That's true. No, I think he knew what he was doing. I think he was aware of the dangers and wouldn't do it long enough to kill the person, in my opinion, because he also didn't leave bruises very often that were visible. He was very intentional about how he hit.
Yeah.
Like,
that would have gotten him in trouble.
Literally, like, blistered me, like, bruised. I literally could not sit down because I was so messed up.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, and but none of the bruises or blisters or anything were anywhere visible. So, yeah. Anyway, well, let's continue. Dude, I'm so lost. I have no idea where I'm going or how to get there.
A whole bunch of things that people brought up in the comment section of that video. He's saying, no, that didn't happen. No, that's not how that went down. So
I didn't see any of that, but I didn't read all the comments, but I did see him validate that, yes, Steven Anderson did absolutely do this to us. So
Solomon himself in the comment section is refuting stuff from the Miriam video that people ask him about. But supposedly it's just like, oh, it's just another witness. And again, Solomon didn't even say that we were abusive at all, and he did not.
Okay, not seeing blood. So this says Solomon responding to someone. Okay, so I never saw any blood whatsoever from spankings or beatings, and then goes on to say something else. Not seeing blood does not mean it wasn't abuse. Beating someone, at the end of that he says beatings. Beating someone is abuse. Some people don't believe spankings are abuse. I believe spankings are abuse. He mentions abuse in here. He doesn't say the word, but there not being blood does not mean anything.
Right, 100%.
Back up a lot of these stories, so...
And when that happens, in my mind, the Bible says in Deuteronomy 19:15 that one witness shall not rise up against any man for any iniquity, and that, of course, in the mouth of two or three witnesses shall a matter be established. But just because there's 2 or 3 or 4 witnesses that come out against someone, that doesn't mean they're guilty. But the Bible does say in Deuteronomy 19, just a couple verses after that, it says that the judges shall make diligent inquisition. And when Miriam came out with her video, when Solomon came out with his video, my position was, hey, okay, you need to answer some of these things. Now it's to the point where when it's just one, it's like you don't even receive it. When it's 2, in my mind, it wasn't credible because the individual had said to my wife, that the other witness was lying. So I thought, okay, that's not credible. But now you've got 3, 4 witnesses. And at the very least, somebody needs to answer some questions. Somebody needs to figure out what's going on here. Pastor Anderson came to me and he had this idea that he was going to attack Clint, his brother, and that he was going to put this all on Clint.
Oh, I just had this idea.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Right. His brother, Clint. Clint took in Miriam, and he was complaining about it.
That I was just going to attack my brother and just put this all on Clint. No, when I had this conversation with Pastor Jimenez, Clint had in essence stolen my daughter. And I've already shown that.
Oh, give it a rest. Stole my daughter, he says. Come on.
Someone leaving to someone else's house isn't steal. Like, he didn't kidnap her. She went there. She stayed there. It was all willing and happy, and she was having a great old time. He didn't steal your daughter.
So stupid and sad.
Text messages where he said, you have to let me keep your daughter or we're going to call CPS on you. We're going to report you to the authorities. And I just said, make my day.
Okay, they should have done that anyways.
I said, report me to CPS. I have nothing to hide. I'll be glad to talk to CPS. CPS can come in my house, talk to my kids, talk to me all they want. They've already done it. countless times. I mean, at this point, CPS has been in my living room at least 15 times.
Yeah, they were in my living room too, at least 15 times. I knew my CPS worker by name. And interestingly, Grandma actually called CPS on me once for years.
Yeah, I remember.
And
I don't remember it happening, but
it was the same CPS worker. She was mine, and then she was yours. Anyway, it came to nothing, but
yeah.
it should have come to something for me. And eventually it did come to something. She told me, it was after my mom had already moved out with me. She told me that if my mom moves back in with my dad, they're taking me to a foster home. You know, she drew a hard line when I was like 17 years old, and it didn't even matter anymore. So thank you for that, Jessica.
Wow, okay. Naming her, Jesus.
Anyway, CPS oftentimes doesn't do anything when they should.
By that time you were 17, so in 1 year you would have been out anyways, and
Yeah.
Grandma had already moved away. So she's doing things when it doesn't matter. Right. Grandma moving away didn't necessarily mean he was safe, by the way, because she did go back to my grandpa.
Yeah, she did.
But, yeah.
Observing and talking to each of my kids one by one. You think that scares me at this point? I'm just like, come at me, bro. And so while this was happening, Clint was actively subverting my daughter against me.
Oh, give it a rest, dude. This happens constantly when there's an abuser. When there's an abuser in a situation, everybody is always subverting your will or turning people against you or some other trash. Like, come on. At some point, you're going to have to take the blame, right? At some point, you have to admit when it's your fault. You're doing. You made every part of this happen. You are the scumbag. You are the common denominator, and you need to get out of these people's lives, right? At some point, you need to realize that.
I think I got very lucky in that out of all 4 kids, he's my dad because he...
Not to toot my own horn. Toot, toot, baby. Toot, toot. Hold on.
Because he is, I'd say, the only one out of all 4 of the kids that my grandma had who isn't abusive and or crazy. My
other brother, not the one with serious issues, is decent. He's okay. He has problems too, but he's all right for the most part. My sister, bless her heart, is such a good person inside. Such a good person, honestly. She's really a nice person, but she's very, I think she runs into things head first sometimes without really...
Impulsive?
Yeah, maybe so. And that's not always helpful.
And saying, you have to let us keep her or we're going to come at you with, CPS invest. And I said, come investigate me then, because I'm not afraid of being investigated by them. Bring it on.
Because he knows that they won't do anything. Everybody knows that they won't do anything.
Someone said where they live, most of CPS go to his church. They'll take his word over the kids every time. Also, I assume he lives in a smaller area based on that.
Steven Anderson?
Yeah. Like not a big city or anything.
I don't remember where he lives.
CPS, especially if they already know you, generally doesn't do anything. Just from what I've witnessed, they say, oh, you look fine. Or what bothers me the most, sometimes they'll warn the parents before they go, oh, we'll be there in 2 hours. We'll be there in 2 days. And
they often do that. Yeah. That's standard practice, I believe.
Yeah. And the parents have time to clean everything up, ignore sign of neglect, and then teach their kids, you're going to say this one, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So
coach the kids.
Yeah. I don't think CPS doesn't do anything. CPS is not useful. CPS does not help, generally speaking. Sometimes
it could and should be.
Yeah.
But
sometimes
fund it better.
Sometimes CPS works and helps and gets kids out of unsafe situations. But the majority of cases that I've seen, heard about, or whatever else, it does not do anything or nearly as much as they should be doing.
Problem is because there are parental rights, quote unquote, where they're very, very hesitant to move a kid out of a home because, it completely alters everything about the kid's life, and they may be placed in a worse situation with a foster environment or whatever. So they're hesitant to do that, which I get. But You know, there's got to be some kind of like levers that you can pull. There's got to be something you can do to help.
He's in Phoenix, Arizona, but he's in one of the suburbs.
Oh, that's right, Tempe. Right, Tempe, Arizona. I remember.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. He's not in a city, and apparently, if you watch the videos, you can't even see the closest neighbor's house.
Right. So he's in the middle of nowhere, I guess.
We didn't do anything wrong. There is no abuse. And so Clint stole my daughter, and she was last seen at his house, and we didn't know where she was.
Oh, give it a rest. She told you she was going there. Come on.
And he had lied repeatedly about where she was and whether she was there. And so at that time, I believed that she was at his house. And for all I know, she was at his house during that. I still don't know where she was during all that time because, you know, we're just searching for our daughter. The police came by.
Oh, please.
Clint's house repeatedly, and he refused to send her home, even when the police were telling him he needed to send her home.
I mean, I think she was 17, right? She can make her own choices.
She had, I guarantee she had less than a year before they legally couldn't do anything. And even then, like, she didn't want to go home. If she doesn't want to go home, he can't really, like, he has no reason to say, oh, guess you gotta go, see you later. Like,
he has no moral right. No moral right. Maybe a legal one, obligation. I don't know. But he has no moral right to tell her, right?
Yeah, I have friends who have wanted to run away, and I would have let them, like, I would have found a place for them to stay.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason to force someone, there's no moral obligation to force someone to go back somewhere that is abusive and harmful.
Right.
He didn't do it. And so this isn't just me just, hey, I have an idea. Let me just put this on Clint. This whole thing started because Miriam refused to come home from fun Uncle Clint's house, who was just letting her do whatever and get away with murder. And then her brothers jumped in.
Sorry, can we go back to that? Get away with murder? What does he mean?
He means let her live a normal life and experience normal life things, presumably. I mean, she wasn't, it doesn't specify what he thinks she was doing that she shouldn't have been. What did she do that she shouldn't have been doing?
This whole thing started because Miriam refused to come home from fun Uncle Clint's house, who was just letting her do whatever and get away with murder. And then her brothers jumped in and just backed her up on it. And that's what started this entire thing. And so this isn't just me just dreaming up this thing of just making Clint a scapegoat. Clint was telling Miriam over spring break, I didn't find this out till later, he was telling her, oh, your dad's abusive and your dad doesn't love anyone and my dad's the same way and he was abusive too. So he's sitting there and talking crap about our dad to Miriam.
Okay, he has no idea if that's the case, but whatever.
Okay, so it's sounding like their dad was probably abusive and that Steven Anderson
carried on. Yeah.
And just putting all these ideas in her head. And that's really powerful coming from an authority type figure, you know, someone that you look up to, a Christian uncle and so forth. When
Christian in air quotes, huh? All right.
They're saying these things to you, oh, your parents are bad, they're abusive, and my parents are abusive too, and all this dumb crap, okay? That poisoned Miriam, and she was at his house when she was refusing to come home. We sent the cops to his house. Miriam came to the door, talked to the cops. The cops told her she has to come home.
I remember this whole situation.
And yet, you know, when I flew out there to go get Miriam back, then basically, you know, Miriam fakes a panic attack and goes to the hospital.
Yeah, fakes a panic attack.
Faked a panic attack and goes to the hospital because she faked a panic. Yeah, right. Okay.
He literally gave her a panic attack out of fear of what he was going to do when
they got home.
Yeah, like what?
If this is why a lot of teenagers go missing outside of kidnappings and stuff, because they run away from abusive situations and they don't want the police to find them.
Right.
Because obviously people get kidnapped, but there are a lot of cases where teenagers run away and just like start whatever new life they physically can.
Right.
Because they don't want to be here.
Disgusting.
And then Clint goes to the hospital posing as her guardian.
Okay. Well, I mean, they needed a legal guardian, right? There, I mean, because of the hospital or whatever. So
and
that makes complete sense.
Yeah, I assume he didn't want to go there because it was a fake panic attack.
Right.
Okay. And the nurses tell me, oh, well, her guardian was here, Clint Anderson. I'm like, say what?
I mean, I think he can act as the temporary guardian while, you know, instead of Steven Anderson. So you're saying that you arrived late? I mean, you upset that Clint was there watching over her and you weren't, then get there sooner.
Clint didn't pose as her guardian. She wrote down that he's her guardian and that he can be in the room and that whatever. So, one, it wasn't Clint's idea, it wasn't his thing. He said, okay, you wrote me down, I'll go. And two, she needed someone in there. She, like, literally had to have someone in there watching her, making sure she's alive and breathing for the hospital.
This is him being a drama queen over a genuinely dangerous situation for his kid.
And goes to the hospital posing as her guardian. Okay? And the nurses tell me, oh, well, her guardian was here, Clint Anderson. I'm like, say what? That's not her guardian. I'm her dad. Oh, we had him in the room with her because we thought that was the guardian. That's who she put down as the guardian. So Clint's over there impersonating her guardian. But I guess this is just me. I just had this idea, to just pin it on Clint. I mean, this is absurd.
Because Miriam had spent some time at Clint's house, or she spent the summer there or something. So he was going to tell everybody that she was kidnapped and that he brainwashed her.
No, I wasn't going to tell everybody that. That's what happened.
That she was brainwashed, please.
Okay? How is it not stealing my child? How is it not stealing my child when I send my kid on vacation and he refuses to send her home and says, I'm not sending her home?
That's not what happened, though, right?
He refused to go back. Not him. He had nothing to do with this situation.
Yeah.
He provided a house, and that was literally it. He provided a house. He provided a ride, presumably to the hospital, unless he called an ambulance. But, I mean, in the end, this wasn't his idea, his fault, his anything. He didn't steal anyone. She said, I cannot go back, and had a panic attack at the thought of going back.
Yeah, and this is the exact same pattern that I've seen in my own life. People in my family have claimed that their kids are poisoned against them by their mom or whatever, when in reality, they don't want to be around you because you're a monster. Like, you do monstrously evil things. I'm sorry you don't want to accept that about yourself, but blaming everybody around you isn't getting you anywhere.
And then he threatens me, and he says, if you don't let her stay here indefinitely, then I'm going to call CPS on you. And I'm also going to go to YouTube and I'm going to just slander you. So he's just like trying to blackmail me or something.
I bet that's what he said.
And I'm just like, bring it on, man. Come at me. Well, that's what I was going to say. No, it's not what I was going to say. It's what happened. It's what the reality was. And the cops definitely saw it my way.
Or whatever.
Well, I mean, you're the legal guardian. So yeah, the cops would have to have brought Miriam home.
And Clint, years ago, was a member at our church, and we didn't have a good relationship, so he knew I didn't really like Clint, so he was trying to get me to make a video against Clint. But he's telling me that he's going to put Clint's personal address out there, and he's going to try to get people to go to his house and do
Yeah, this is stochastic terrorism. Absolutely.
these things.
I'm going to put Clint's personal address out there. I did put Clint's personal address out there because my daughter was literally a missing person.
She wasn't missing.
We knew where she was.
And he knew where she was. Everybody knew where she was. And they all knew that she didn't want to be with you personally. She was with she was with a guardian. She was safe. She was fine. You just wanted to control her at 17.
There was a police report with her listed as a missing person, and that address was her last known whereabouts. And he had repeatedly refused to cooperate with law enforcement, refused to...
That's not true. He cooperated with the cops all the way through, as far as I can tell.
...send my daughter home. Even after the police came to his house and told him, you have to do this, then he drives across town to the hospital and poses as her guardian and helps her escape from the hospital, right? But
this dude's such a scumbag, dude. I'm sorry. This is disgusting. This guy is anybody believing what he's saying? Like, is his story believable at all?
That's just me doxing Clint. How is it doxing when
It's doxing because you released his address and his information to the public, to a public venue that you expected to go up there and do something about it. That's doxing, the definition of it, if you didn't realize.